The silence in the West Hollywood apartment was a physical presence, thick and suffocating, broken only by the rhythmic, furious tapping of Ava's manicured nails on her phone screen. On the screen, her life was perfect. A cascade of photos and videos showed a woman bathed in golden hour light, laughing over artisanal coffee, practicing sunrise yoga on a pristine balcony, and cuddling with a handsome, smirking man named Liam. Their love, as presented to her 1.2 million followers, was #couplegoals, #relationship-inspo, #blessed. In reality, the only thing being blessed was the marble countertop her phone was about to be slammed against. "I can't believe you're serious, Ava." Liam's voice was cool, detached from the other side of the vast, minimalist living room. He was already packing a single designer duffel bag. Their entire 2-year relationship, it seemed, could be condensed into one bag. "It's just not working." "Not working." Ava's voice was a strained whisper. "Liam, we have a brand. We have a brand. Ava and Liam. The retreat is in 10 days. The #SoulSync retreat. It's fully sponsored. They're paying us $20,000 plus the entire week at the Serenity Springs Resort to be the featured couple." Liam zipped the bag closed, the sound final and cruel. "Then I guess you'll have to find a new featured partner. I'm done. I'm done with the constant filming, the staged moments, the way you curate every damn breath we take. I want a real life, Ava, not one that's just content." The hypocrisy was a knife in her gut. He'd loved the free clothes, the luxury holidays, the clout. He'd basked in the attention. Now he was casting himself as the victim of her ambition. "Get out," she said, her voice trembling with a fury she dared not fully unleash. Crying would cause puffiness. Anger would create wrinkles. Even in her devastation, the influencer's calculus was at work. The moment the door clicked shut, the carefully constructed facade crumbled. Ava slid down the cold cabinet, hugging her knees, silent sobs racking her body. It wasn't just the heartbreak, though that was a raw, aching hole in her chest. It was the professional annihilation. A lifestyle influencer whose brand was built on the foundation of a perfect relationship, suddenly single. She could already see the comments. "I knew it was fake. What happened to #forevergoals? She's a fraud." And the retreat, the #SoulSync retreat. Backing out was not an option. The contract was ironclad. It would mean a massive financial penalty and, worse, a permanent black mark with major brands. Her agent, Sarah, had been explicit. "This is your golden ticket, Ava. Nail this and we're talking 6-figure campaign deals. Blow this and you're selling artisanal soap on Etsy." An hour later, puffy-eyed and desperate, she FaceTimed Sarah. "He left," Ava choked out. Sarah's face, usually a mask of unflappable calm, paled. "No. No. 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 Not now. Did you try begging? Bribery? Remind him about the free spa treatments." "He's gone, Sarah. It's over." Sarah was silent for a long moment, her mind whirring audibly over the fiber optic connection. "Okay, damage control. We spin it. You go on the retreat alone. You talk about self-love, about healing, about the strength to be alone. The contract specifies couple-focused content," Ava whispered. "They want shared workshops, partner yoga, romantic dinners. They're paying for a couple, not a recently single woman having an existential crisis." Another heavy silence. Then, a slow, dangerous spark lit in Sarah's eyes. "Okay, then we give them a couple." "What?" "We find you a replacement, a temporary one, for the duration of the retreat only." Ava stared at the screen, aghast. "A replacement boyfriend? Sarah, that's insane." "Who? Another influencer? Mark from the fitness channel? He's dating that vegan chef now. It would be all over the gossip blogs in seconds." "No, not an influencer," Sarah said, her voice gaining a feverish intensity. "That's too risky. We need someone unknown, unconnected, someone photogenic but utterly, completely normal. a non-entity in our world. We hire him. The absurdity of the proposition was so vast it almost circled back to seeming plausible. Hire him? Like an actor. Better than an actor. Actors have ambitions. They have agents. We need someone simple, trustworthy. Someone who needs the money and will sign an NDA so tight he'll forget his own name if he breathes a word. Sarah was already typing furiously on another device. I'll find a service. Discreet. We'll vet him. It's just for 1 week. Ava. 1 week of pretending. You can coach him. You're the expert at crafting a perfect image, after all. The plan was monstrous. It was deceitful. It was everything her followers believed she wasn't. But as Ava looked around her perfect, silent, empty apartment, a stage with no play, she saw no other option. It was either the ruse or ruin. Find him, she said, her voice hollow. Leo Thorne was covered in a fine layer of sawdust. It was a familiar, comforting state of being. He was in his element, his small, cluttered, but impeccably organized workshop behind his bungalow in Topanga Canyon. The scent of cedar and linseed oil hung in the air, and the steady, rhythmic whir of his planer was a meditation. He was restoring a 19th-century oak desk, his hands, calloused, strong, and capable, guiding the wood with a reverence most people reserved for holy relics. His phone buzzed, an unwelcome intrusion. It was his older sister, Maria. Hey Lee, you got a minute? For my favorite sister? Always. He switched off the planer, welcoming the sudden silence. It's about Mom's treatment, Maria said, her voice strained. The new specialist, he's not in network. The initial consultation alone is $3,000. I can cover half, but… Leo's chest tightened. He looked around his workshop, at the beautiful, soulful pieces of furniture that brought him so much joy but so little profit. I've got a big commission for a dining table. The deposit should cover my half. I'll transfer it tonight. After he hung up, the weight of the world felt a little heavier on his shoulders. He loved his work, but the financial precarity was a constant, low-grade hum of anxiety. He was checking his bank account, a frown deepening on his face, when a second, unknown number flashed on his screen. Leo Thorne? A crisp, professional female voice asked. Speaking. My name is Sarah Jones. I'm a personal manager. I got your number from the Discreet Arrangement Service. We have a potential short-term contract for you. It's unconventional. Intrigued and wary, Leo listened as Sarah outlined the proposition. A week-long, all-expenses-paid retreat in Napa Valley. His role? To act as the boyfriend of a client for the duration. No physical intimacy required, just a convincing public performance. The pay was more than he made in 3 months of steady work. Let me get this straight, Leo interrupted, a slow smile spreading across his face. You want to pay me to go on a luxury vacation and pretend to be in love with a stranger? The client is a public figure, Sarah said carefully. Discretion is paramount. A non-disclosure agreement will be required. The fee is $15,000, half up front. $15,000. It would cover his mom's consultation and the next round of treatments with ease. It was an obscene amount of money for a week of what? Playing make-believe? Felt dishonest, sleazy even. But then he thought of his mother's face, the worry lines etched by more than just illness, and his own mounting debts. Who's the client? He asked. You'll be fully briefed upon signing the NDA. Do you accept? He took a deep breath, the scent of honest wood and honest work filling his lungs. I accept. The meeting was held in Ava's apartment, which felt to Leo more like a museum exhibit titled Modern Luxury. Everything was white, beige, or glass. There were no personal touches, no stray books, no mismatched mugs. It was beautiful and utterly soulless. Ava sat across from him, a vision in a cream-colored silk lounge set. She was even more stunning in person than in the hundreds of photos Sarah had made him review as homework. But she was also nervous, her posture rigid, her smile a tight, practiced curve of her lips. "So, you're Leo," she said, her eyes scanning him from his work boots, which he'd politely left at the door, to his flannel shirt. He saw her note the differences between him and Liam. Liam was all sharp edges and designer stubble. Leo was broader, softer around the edges, more substantial. "That's me," he said, his voice a warm, calm baritone that seemed to unsettle the quiet room. "And you're Ava. Or should I call you Aura?" He referenced her online persona, Aura by Ava, with a hint of a tease. Ava flushed. "Ava is fine." She launched into her spiel, sliding a thick binder across the glass coffee table. "This is you. Your backstory. You're a freelance graphic designer. We met at a farmer's market 6 months ago. You love indie films, sourdough baking, and hiking. You hate reality TV and loud noises. Your favorite color is sage green." Leo flipped through the binder, amused. It was a character study, complete with suggested talking points and a list of Liam's annoying habits he should avoid. "Sage green, huh? I'm more of a deep blue guy myself." "This isn't a joke, Leo," Ava said, her voice sharp. "This retreat is crucial for my career. Every moment will be documented. The other couples are influencers. They're sharks. They'll sense a weakness. You have to be convincing." "Convincing how?" he asked, leaning back and crossing his arms. "Am I the doting boyfriend? The playful one? The strong, silent type?" The binder doesn't specify. "You're supportive, attentive. You look at me like I'm the only woman in the room." "And how does Aura look at you?" he asked, his gaze direct and unervingly perceptive. "Does she gaze adoringly? Or does she look at you like you're a prop in her perfect life?" Ava recoiled as if slapped. "You have no right to." "I have every right," he interrupted calmly. "You're hiring me to play a part in a fraud. If you want me to be good at it, I need to understand the motivation. Not just my character's, but yours. Why is this so important? Is it really just the money?" Tears, hot and sudden, pricked Ava's eyes. She willed them away. "It's my life," she whispered. "It's all I have." Leo studied her for a long moment, the defensiveness in her posture, the raw fear in her eyes. He saw not a slick, dishonest influencer, but a terrified woman clinging to a cliff edge by her fingernails. Some of the judgment he'd carried into the room softened. "Okay," he said, his voice gentler. "Then we'll make it convincing. But we do it my way. No binder. We build a real rapport. We find a dynamic that feels authentic. Because Ava, you can't fake chemistry. Not for a whole week." He stood up and walked over to her bookshelf, which held only decorative items and a few strategically placed, unread literary classics. He picked up a framed photo of her and Liam, a perfectly filtered shot from a trip to Santorini. "First rule," he said, putting the photo face down. "We get rid of the ghost." A strange feeling stirred in Ava's chest, a mixture of terror and something else, something that felt dangerously like hope. Serenity Springs was even more breathtaking than the promotional materials promised. Nestled in a sun-dappled Napa Valley, it was a symphony of rustic luxury. Private villas with vaulted ceilings, infinity pools that seemed to spill into the vineyards, and meticulously manicured gardens. It was a stage set for romance, and Ava felt like the lead actress with stage fright. The other 3 influencer couples were already there. There was Chloe and Ben, the fitness gurus whose relationship seemed to consist entirely of protein shakes and synchronized squat jumps. Sophia and Marco, the travel bloggers, who were tanned and exuded a jet-set weariness. And Jade and Ryan, the raw and real couple who documented every argument and reconciliation, making their love seem like an exhausting public spectacle. Ava, now with Leo by her side, stepped into the lobby. She had dressed him in the casual luxe clothes she'd bought for him, soft linen trousers, a simple white t-shirt, a tailored blazer. He looked handsome, but uncomfortable, like a wild oak tree forced into a decorative pot. "Aura!" "Liam!" Chloe squealed, rushing over. "Oh my God, You look amazing. Ava's heart stopped. It's Leo, actually, she said, forcing a giggle. Liam and we took some time apart. This is Leo, my rock. She felt Leo's hands settle on the small of her back, a warm, steadying pressure. He smiled at Chloe, a genuine, easy smile that reached his eyes. It's great to meet you, he said, his voice calm and assured. Ava's told me so much about you. Your last yoga flow video was incredible. Ava stared at him. He'd done his homework. More than that, he was good, charming even. The first test came during the couples connection workshop, where a guru made them stare into each other's eyes for 5 minutes. With Liam, it had always been a performance, a chance to get a good, soft-focus close-up. With Leo, it was unnerving. His eyes were a warm, steady brown, and they held hers with an intensity that felt real. He wasn't just looking, he was seeing. She saw curiosity in his gaze, and a flicker of amusement, as if they were sharing a private joke on the whole world. She found herself wanting to look away, but she couldn't. Her breath hitched. You're thinking about the camera angle, he murmured, his voice so low only she could hear it. Stop. Just be here. Later, during a partner yoga session, while Ben was effortlessly holding Chloe in a complicated aerial pose, Leo fumbled, nearly dropping Ava. Instead of getting flustered, he laughed, a rich, unself-conscious sound that drew smiles from others. Sorry, he said, helping her steady herself. I'm better with stationary objects, like wood. It was a disaster by Ava's perfectionist standards, but when she checked the tagged photos later, the candid shot of them laughing together was getting more likes and comments than any of the perfectly executed poses from the other couples. That night, at a campfire, the conversation turned to how everyone met. Sophia and Marco told their story of a fateful encounter in a Bangkok hostel. Jade and Ryan recounted their dramatic on-again, off-again saga. What about you two? Ryan asked, his arm slung possessively around Jade. Ava froze, the rehearsed farmer's market story evaporating from her mind. Leo's hand found hers, his thumb stroking gentle circles on her palm. I was building a custom shelving unit for her apartment, Leo said, his voice smooth and warm as the firelight. She kept bringing me these terrible, overpriced lattes from that place down the street, trying to be helpful. He shot her a fond, teasing look. I finally had to tell her I'm a black coffee man, but she was so earnest, so determined to get it right, I couldn't resist asking her out. The story was simple, flawed, and utterly believable. It was grounded in a reality that their polished lives lacked. The other couples cooed. Ava felt a lump in her throat. The lie was so much more beautiful than the truth of their arrangement. She looked at their joined hands, and for a terrifying second, she couldn't remember where the performance ended and she began. The pivot point came on the third day. The scheduled activity was a trust walk through the vineyards. One partner blindfolded, the other guiding them. This is ridiculous, Ava muttered, as Leo tied a soft silk scarf over her eyes, plunging her world into darkness. What's the brand angle here? Blind faith? It's contrived. Or, Leo said, his voice close to her ear, sending a shiver down her spine. It's just a walk. Stop looking for the content. Ava, just feel it. He took her hand, his grip firm and sure. Deprived of her sight, her other senses roared to life. She felt the crunch of gravel under her feet, the cool morning air on her skin, the solid, reliable presence of Leo guiding her. He didn't just lead her. He narrated their path in a low, soothing voice. Okay, 3 steps up onto a grassy path now. The sun is hitting your right shoulder. You can smell the grapes, can't you? They're ripe, almost syrupy sweet. There's a bird singing in that cypress tree to our left. She had spent years crafting a life that was a visual feast, but she had forgotten how to simply experience it. With Leo, she was experiencing it. She felt safe, protected. It was a feeling so foreign, so intoxicating, that when he finally stopped and gently untied the blindfold, she was almost disappointed. They were at the highest point of the vineyard. The entire sun-kissed valley spread out before them. It was a picture-perfect moment. But Ava wasn't thinking about pictures. "How did you do that?" she asked softly. "Do what?" "Make it feel real." Leo looked out at the view, his profile strong and thoughtful. Because for a moment it was, "The trick isn't to pretend, Ava. The trick is to find a sliver of truth and lean into it. I was guiding a woman who was nervous. That was true. I wanted her to feel safe. That was also true." Her carefully constructed walls trembled. "Why are you being so nice to me? You know this is all a transaction." He turned to her, his gaze searching her face. "Is it? For me, the transaction was the money. But I'm starting to think the real payment is watching you remember what it's like to be a person, and not just a profile." The words hit her with the force of a physical blow. She had no retort, because he was right. That evening, there was a gala dinner. Ava wore a stunning, backless crimson gown. Leo, in the dark suit she'd chosen for him, looked devastatingly handsome. As they danced under a canopy of fairy lights, his hand resting respectfully on her bare back, the line between performance and reality blurred into nothingness. "Thank you," she whispered, her head resting against his shoulder. "For today. For the walk." "Any time," he murmured into her hair. The music swelled. She tilted her head up. His face was close, his eyes dark and serious. The air crackled between them. He was going to kiss her, and she, God help her, wanted him to. But at that exact moment, a voice cut through the magic. "Well, well, well, isn't this cozy?" They sprang apart. Standing at the edge of the dance floor, a suitcase at his feet and a smirk on his face, was Liam. "Miss me?" he said. The world, which had softened and warmed over the past few days, instantly froze over. Ava's blood ran cold. "Liam," she gasped, "what are you doing here?" "I had a change of heart," he said, his eyes sweeping over Leo with contemptuous amusement. "Realized I couldn't let my girl do this big, important retreat alone. But I see you're not alone." He took a step closer, his voice dropping to a venomous whisper. "Who's this, Ava? The help?" Leo didn't flinch. He simply straightened his posture, seeming to grow taller, more solid. He moved slightly, positioning himself between Ava and Liam. "Leo," he said, his voice calm but leaving no room for argument. "And you must be Liam. Ava's mentioned you." The way he said it implied she'd mentioned a minor, unpleasant incident like a parking ticket. Liam's smirk faltered. He wasn't used to being met with such quiet, unshakable confidence. "Yeah, I bet she has. Look, whatever this little charade is, it's over. I'm back. We can tell everyone we reconciled. It'll be a great story." Panic seized Ava. This was her worst nightmare. Public scene. A choice between the man she'd hired and the man who had broken her heart. The other couples were watching, their phones subtly angled in their direction. She could already imagine the headlines. Before she could speak, Leo did. "I don't think that's Ava's decision to make," he said, his gaze never leaving Liam's. "It seems you made your choice quite clearly when you walked out. Now, if you'll excuse us, we were dancing." He turned his back on Liam, a gesture of supreme dismissal, and offered his hand to Ava. His eyes held hers, a silent question. "Do you trust me?" In that moment, with her career hanging in the balance and the eyes of the digital world upon her, Ava made a choice. She placed her hand in his. As they walked away, leaving a sputtering Liam behind, a strange sense of calm settled over her. The facade had shattered, but for the first time, she didn't feel exposed. She felt free. Later, in the privacy of their villa, the tension broke. "He's going to talk," Ava said, pacing the floor. "He's going to tell everyone you're a fake."
"I'm ruined."
"Let him talk," Leo said, standing by the window, watching the moon rise over the vines. "What's the truth, Ava? He left you. You moved on. I'm the man you're with now. That's the story. Our story. Our story." The words hung in the air. "Why are you still here?" she asked, her voice thick with tears. "The contract, you've done your job. More than your job. You can take the money and go. This is a mess." Leo turned to face her. The usual amusement was gone from his eyes, replaced by a raw, startling honesty. "Because the contract ended for me about 3 days ago. I'm not here for the money anymore, Ava." The admission hung between them, fragile and immense. "Then why?" she whispered. He crossed the room until he was standing right in front of her. He didn't touch her, but the space between them hummed with electricity. "I'm here for the woman who forgot what the sun felt like on her skin without a filter. The woman who has a laugh that's better than any perfectly curated smile. I'm here for you, not Aura. You." It was the one thing she was utterly unprepared for. The one script she hadn't written. Tears finally spilled over, tracing paths through her meticulously applied makeup. She wasn't crying for her brand, or her followers, or her ruined plan. She was crying for herself, for the woman who had been hiding for so long. Leo reached out, his thumb gently wiping away a tear. The touch was his first real, unscripted one, and it sent a jolt through her entire system. "I think," he said softly, "it's time to stop pretending." And as his lips met hers, the last of the carefully constructed walls around Ava's curated heart crumbled to dust. The final day of the retreat dawned. Liam, after failing to cause a scene that would stick, had slunk away in the night, presumably to sell his story to a gossip site. Ava didn't care. For the first time in years, she was operating from a place of authenticity, and the freedom was terrifying and exhilarating. The grand finale was a couple's commitment ceremony, not a real one, but a symbolic event where couples would share vows they'd written for each other. As Ava stood before the small, gathered crowd, her phone in her hand to film the moment as per her contract, she felt a profound shift. She looked at Leo, who stood waiting for her, his expression open and full of a quiet faith that made her heart ache. She lowered the phone. Then, she opened her Instagram Live. "Hi, everyone," she said, her voice trembling slightly but clear. "This is supposed to be a happy, polished moment. A perfect vow for a perfect couple." She took a deep breath. "But my life hasn't been perfect. And this man, Leo, he wasn't part of the plan." She spoke for 5 minutes. She told them about Liam leaving. She confessed her panic, her desperation. She admitted to hiring Leo to the ruse. The chat exploded with shock and disbelief, but she pressed on, her eyes locked with Leo's. "I thought I was hiring someone to help me fake a perfect relationship," she said, her voice growing stronger. "But he taught me how to find a real one. He didn't play a part. He showed me who I was without mine. The truth is, I came here to save my brand. But I'm leaving having found myself, and having fallen in love. For real." She ended the live stream. The silence was deafening. Then Jade started to clap. Slowly, then all the others joined in. It wasn't a roaring applause, but one of respect. On the drive back to Los Angeles, the world outside the car window looked different. Sharper. More real. "My workshop is a mess," Leo said, breaking the comfortable silence. "And my coffee is terrible, black and bitter. My life is nothing like this." He gestured to the retreat fading in the rearview mirror. Ava smiled, a genuine, effortless smile that reached her eyes. "Good," she said. "I'm tired of perfect. It's exhausting." She looked at him, this carpenter who had built her back up when she was on the verge of collapse, not with glossy materials, but with truth, patience, and solid, reliable strength. "Take me home, Leo. You're home." 6 months later. The photo was unlike any other on Ava's feed, now renamed simply Ava. It wasn't perfectly lit or staged. It was a candid shot, taken by her sister. Ava, wearing one of Leo's old flannel shirts, smudges of dust on her cheek, was laughing as she held up a crooked, slightly wobbly wooden bookshelf. Leo stood behind her, his arms wrapped around her waist, his head thrown back in laughter, his workshop a chaotic, beautiful backdrop. The caption read, "My first attempt at woodworking. It's lopsided, imperfect, and probably won't hold anything heavier than a paperback. But I built it myself with a little guidance from the best teacher I know. It's my favorite thing in the world. Just like this life we're building piece by imperfect piece. Hashtag real life, hashtag uncurated, hashtag happy." The comments were filled with love and support. Her follower count had dipped initially after her confession, but then it had soared, attracting an audience that craved authenticity over illusion. Later that evening, curled up on the comfortable, worn sofa in Leo's bungalow, surrounded by the scent of wood and the simple, honest life they were creating together, Ava knew she had never been richer. The influencer's ruse had failed spectacularly, and in its ashes, she had found the only thing that was ever truly worth building. A love that was real, messy, and completely, utterly her own.